District.
I
Philip.
did this.
Philip Simi, Trinity County OES.
Dave Jaramillo, CAL FIRE.
I put the chalk under that wheel. Okay.
Amelia Flights, Trinity County Fire Safe Council Coordinator.
I read that.
Yeah, we're gonna go.
So, should we?
Jerry Cousins, Trinity County Collaborative.
Deborah Harris, North Coast Air Quality.
Well, Pat Frost with Trinity Center CSD.
Larry Glass was safe.
Chris Cole, Trinity County Resource Conservation District, Forest Health.
Mike Catoni, Trinity County Health and Human Services and OES.
Miles Raymond, Grizzly Corps Fellow at Trinity County RCD.
Stephanie Llewellyn, Trinity County RCD Forest Health.
Regina.
Yeah, Gina Moon here, Willow Creek Fire Safe Council.
Janelle Johnson, Fire Safe Council for Coffee Creek.
John Brower. John, are you there? Is that what I'm seeing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I was muted. It's John Brower. I'm just a resident in Junction City.
Thanks for joining us, John. Nancy Anderson.
Yes, Nancy Anderson, local area advisor for Lewiston.
Welcome, Nancy.
Thank you.
And I believe that is everybody that's on the call currently, besides Amelia.
Okay. Next on the agenda, set the December meeting date. No idea what you guys have.
Or just cancel December, whatever we want to do.
When was it supposed to be?
So it's usually the fourth Thursday, but it's also during the holiday week again. And so,
Yeah, I'm gone that day too, so. Cancel it or move it or?
Historically, we've just had one meeting between November and December,
Okay, I'm good with that.
but you cancel it, I won't bring you any cookies.
That case.
all right, all in favor.
We should meet at Pat's house. Bring your snowshoes and shovels.
And I think cancel too.
Yeah, I think cancel.
Okay, all in favor to cancel, raise your hands, which would mean our next meeting date is going to be January 26th at 1 p.m. Great, we have a majority. Meeting for December is canceled. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Amelia. So moving on, additions and changes to the agenda.
Hearing none.
Okay, moving on. Discussions, the MOU, CWPP revisions, and the Firewise community renewals.
Okay, so I need help with the Firewise community renewals for Post Mountain and Big Bar, Big Flat. All the other communities have been submitted and are in renewal. They're being processed right now. But Big Bar, Big Flat, and Post Mountain, they're due tomorrow, and we don't have enough documented projects in those areas to meet our minimum requirements. I have emailed the Forest Service and the volunteer fire department chiefs for those areas. I haven't heard back. Does anyone know of any ongoing projects in Big Bar, Big Flat, or Post Mountain that I should be documenting?
So did you also get with the Watershed Center? They may have work they did around near Post Mountain.
I have reached out to them. They have not provided anything.
Okay, lean on them.
They gave us great stuff from like the prescribed, the fire management side gave us their whole spreadsheet really broken out, and it definitely helped Hayfork with its Firewise
Yeah.
renewal, but don't have that much for Big Bar, Big Flat, or Post Mountain right now. Okay.
Did the RCD do chipping and that sort of thing in Big Bar, Big Flat?
We offered it, but I don't think we had any enrollment.
Oh,
I think there's like one person and it's been reported.
Yeah. And Post Mountain would have been in the Watershed Center's
yeah.
area, so.
What about any of the, like any commercial timber stuff? Can we count any of that stuff? Post Mountain? They're doing less than 300 conversions. I don't know if there's anything downriver where they're doing fire cleanup, any kind of fire salvage that we could consider. It's just a thought.
Yeah, I think for like some of the fuel reduction side of their prep, we could look at that for timber sales and that kind of stuff, but for the sale itself, we wouldn't.
And I was wondering around Post Mountain whether all the work that's been done around Forest Glen might be applicable if you can get the information from the Forest Service.
And Amelia, what's the definition of a project for you? Does it have to be on the ground stuff happening, or can it be in a planning stage?
It's usually education and outreach or implementation. Firewise doesn't really talk too much about planning, but we do usually split some of the community wildfire protection plan update funding across all of the Firewise communities. So right now with the community meeting and some of that CWPP planning, I also included for Post Mountain, the Forest Service. I estimated what the Forest Service costs were for their fire education day that they do every year in Post Mountain. Likely underestimated what their actual costs are, but just trying to get something included and documented.
So I don't know if it would qualify, but check in with Tara Jones. She did a field trip up Corral Creek, Burnt Ranch, looking at shaded fuel breaks and some landscape work, and took some people out there. So it definitely was an educational moment, and see where she's at in planning that.
In fact, we started in Big Bar, right? Or Big
Right.
Flat.
Yeah, that's right.
Big Bar.
That was a collaborative field tour or a separate field tour?
Collaborative,
Collaborative.
but with a lot of people.
October 21st.
All right, I'll check that out and see.
And Hayfork, the Forest Service also did the community meeting. Tara had a community meeting in Hayfork, which I think was meant to serve not only Hayfork, but the surrounding communities like Post Mountain and High and Palm. So I would count that.
It was very poorly attended, but I can look at that.
Amelia, are you looking for future things or things that have already happened?
Things that have happened in the last 12 months.
Okay.
Okay, I will get some round robin phone calls going this afternoon and really hunt some people down so we can get these two renewed and get that taken care of.
Amelia, this is John Brower. If you need help with outreach to landowners in either of those areas for future projects, I'm able to help with that.
Will do.
You might
Right.
get a hold of Tiffany over at NRCS. You don't need to know the owners. But if there was equip implemented in any of those areas too, that would count.
I have, there's one open project in those areas and they have not documented the completed work at this point in time.
Okay. Well,
Amelia, the Norelmuck have taken the responsibility of the Coxbar School and maybe the Forest Service, and they have done something together there.
Ooh. I do know that they have. Okay, let me contact them. Thank you for reminding me of that, Dina.
yeah, that's a good one.
Yes.
Now you feel my pain, Amelia.
I didn't know.
And I didn't tell you.
Well, you alluded to it. I just
Tag, you're it.
realized it was going to be such pulling teeth,
Fun.
but we're getting there. We're getting there. All right, I'm already concocting different ways to try to track this next year and track it more as we go throughout the year instead of just at the end of the year. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how there may be monthly reports as part of our meetings that are, hey, how many hours, how much money, how many acres did you do? And then I'll just calculate all of that
Yeah.
for the year. Okay.
Amelia, welcome to my world. I spend all day long tracking and chasing cats to get that info.
Hey, well, now I have info, so happy to share if you need it.
Hey, Amelia, sorry, we're trying to finish construction on the building. I had to duck out. What do you need from me?
You're good. We're just looking for Big Bar, Big Flat and Post Mountain.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
Yep. The other communities, I mean, some of these are not going to be as impressive reporting numbers as they were in 2021. And that's just because we didn't have as much information to provide. And I kind of question, you know, I keep touting that we have $10 million in fuel reduction that came into Partners of the Fire Safe Council last year. But I'm reporting only just over $1 million spent. And so I'm kind of wondering where those, like at least half of that was probably spent this year. So there's $4 million potentially out there that I'm not claiming. And so I'd kind of like to know what's going on. So that's what I'm looking at. And so if I can try to do monthly reminders with our meetings and ask everybody, and I can have printed ones out in the tables as well, but just a monthly, hey, you know, what did your organization do this month? Where did they work? How many hours? How many acres? One of their questions isn't even acres, it's how much fuel was removed. So I have to estimate a quantification for how many cubic feet of material was removed from a community in a given year. So I think that's a little bit hard for some of our communities to estimate, but we can also estimate it into what was converted into chips as well. So that helps balance it out. So that's where I'm at with the Firewise renewals. So all but 2 are done. And so that's looking really good. The CWPP revisions. So we're going through our meetings. We have our last one in November tonight in Hayfork at 5:30 p.m. And then we have Weaverville, Mad River Ruth, and High Palm in December. All of the other communities will have their meetings in the late winter, early spring. So March, April time period, we'll be addressing the rest of them. Denise has been great. Pretty much after the meeting, about 2 weeks after each meeting, the new projects are updated in the online portal. So those are going well. Still to pull data for past projects to be able to do the annual reports for 2020, 21, and 2022. So I want to see shape files for projects completed in 2020, 2021, and 2022, so that we can look at what portion of our 2020 CWPP has been implemented, and then also what's still left to move forward. The second part of this conversation, and I don't think I see Tim Ritchie on here, but the second part of the conversation that wants to be had is then our strategy for moving forward with grant-based projects, and how to collaboratively tackle projects. So if those of you have attended the last few meetings, we've talked about taking a community approach instead of the scattershot Trinity County approach. So in the past, what would happen is the RCD and the Watershed Center and partners would kind of come together and pick projects from all over the county and put them into one grant ask. Instead, we're looking to do community-based projects. So hit one community, address the defensible space, the evacuation routes, the fuel breaks, and roadside shaded or ridgetop fuel breaks all at once as a more cohesive approach, and move around the communities each year. So work on applying for different communities each time we go round. So part of that was started with the Watershed Research and Training Center's Community Wildfire Defense Grant proposal, and that's federal funds. And they were looking at going after funds for Weaverville, Douglas City, and Junction City. And then the RCD, Trinity County RCD, worked with Humboldt County RCD to address projects in Sawyer and Hawkins Bar and a little bit into Burnt Ranch. And then the Watershed Center also went out for a project for High and Palm. So as we don't know if those projects have been awarded yet, but we're getting into grant season, I wanted to just discuss a little bit and get some feedback on thoughts on approaches for this winter CAL FIRE application season, especially looking at, do we want to look at this as match for the federal part of it, which not all of them are going to require match, because if it's a disadvantaged community, then they don't need match. Or do we want to then add and look at addressing the other communities that haven't been addressed yet? So we can either look at using the CAL FIRE fund to continue to round out working in the communities that we have proposed, or we can look at applying for funds to address the other communities that we have not provided a wholesome approach for. So if people have thoughts or feedback or suggestions, please voice them now. I'm all ears. I want to hear.
So anyway, from the North Lake perspective, Trinity Center, I'm wondering if it would be worthwhile to have a coordination meeting with the Watershed Center, the RCD, and the Forest Service, and look at, because right now we have the Bowerman Ridge fuel break project, the Trinity Camps project, so that's private property, and then Forest Service property on Trinity Camps. We have the McConnell Foundation application. I think we'll find out soon whether or not we got that, the FEMA one. So if we look and see that there's going to be a bunch of stuff going on in the North Lake and what funding we would need for implementation, like if I'm not sure the Bowerman Ridge project, once they finish NEPA, if they actually have implementation money, but maybe we could at least have that meeting and look at all this, tying together all this stuff up here, and see if that would be a logical place to fill in any gaps. Does that make any sense with all those projects going on at the same time?
I would add SPI to that meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and the RCD applied for the Sierra Nevada Conservancy project to do all the road work on, I think, on SPI and Forest Service roads going up towards the Alps. So there's another project. I mean, just a ton of stuff going on here, and I don't know where we're at in terms, well, I think hopefully we'll find out later this winter where we're at in terms of the grant applications, and then what money we need for implementation, and whether or not kind of coming up with some cohesive, okay, here's this community plan. You know, maybe that would be one way to start.
Not to steal Chris's thunder, but we can talk more about this, I think, but we were awarded by the McConnell Foundation, so we're working up the agreement right now.
Yay, okay, see, there
But
you go.
that was for the planning, right? They haven't awarded the implementation funding.
Right, for the phase one, which is the planning portion of it, but yes, we got a verbal confirmation yesterday from the McConnell Foundation that, as you know, assuming that everything goes smoothly with the phase one environmental compliance portion, that we will be awarded the second phase as well. There won't be a second RFP for that.
Cool. Okay, well anyway, one suggestion.
So one of my thoughts too is to kind of address the communities that we are struggling to meet our Firewise renewals on, and do some concerted effort to make sure that we have projects in those communities. So the three that we struggled the most with were Post Mountain, Big Bar, Big Flat, and Burnt Ranch.
I was going to suggest Burnt Ranch because in the far western part of Trinity County, we're looking at trying to do hardening around communities. And to my knowledge, there hasn't been any move to do any of that kind of work after the monument fire around Burnt Ranch.
Okay.
Isn't there a Burnt Ranch project that the Forest Service is doing? Would that count?
So just to speak to that real quick, with that, the field tour that we took in October, Tara's starting to refer to that as the Big Ranch area, project area. And that was like a fact-finding mission for the Forest Service to basically have discussions about what types of treatments we would want to see in different types of stand conditions and post-fire and green timber and all that kind of stuff. So it's in an infant stage of development for planning at this point, but we will be moving forward probably given with the Forest Service giving kind of how that meeting went. And I don't know if Tim is privy to that, but Tim Rich is on the call right now.
Yeah, I haven't had a big conversation with Tara after that meeting about it. So I really can't fill you in there, but we are looking at what opportunities are out there, as Kelly stated, and what kind of treatments would be beneficial for that landscape, and it would extend onto the 6 rivers. So we're not going to do the typical stop at administrative boundaries. We're going to treat that area as a whole, so that there's some benefit in looking at it that way.
Thanks, Tim.
Does anyone else have thoughts or feedback for strategies for the winter grant season as we look at approaching addressing communities and which ones should be targeted?
I just want to, I think that's a great strategy. It does come with it the risk that then some communities are going to feel left out, and we may miss some opportunities. So I think we have to always be sensitive to opportunity when it presents itself.
Amelia, I had one question back to your community meetings. So and the CWPP, so Trinity Center didn't have a community, well, our community meeting was in May, so we had that covered already. We didn't have one recently. Did you get the requests from the fire department for stuff to add to the CWPP? And would that at some point be added to the online portal?
I did, and I forwarded it to Denise, so it should be in process. I can check with her on where we stand.
Okay, awesome. Great. Thank you very much.
In thinking about Pat's comment and you know, with regard to the potential of being more focused on given communities, did Amelia, what was your timeline? Because I think part of the reason why, you know, at least the Watershed Center and the RCD prioritize projects the way that they do, and it is sort of scattershot across the landscape, it has more to do with, you know, community protection and kind of trying to get as much bang for the buck as we can that would actually, you know, impact communities as we're kind of, you know, circulating that money into the different communities. So I'm wondering, like, how long would it take, you know, like if we've got 15 communities that we're going to focus on, how long is it going to take to get through the whole of all the you know, all the Firewise communities?
So if we have 14 Firewise communities and, you know, the anticipated return is every 3 to 5 years, if we're grouping them at least by threes, then we would be able to get to each one of those every 5 years. And the intent is to make a more concerted effort in each community so that then it has that resiliency for the next 5 years, and then would be in a retreatment or a maintenance phase after that. And it's not going to exclude them from community chipping or other auxiliary projects that could happen on smaller timeframes, but really look to provide a wholesome approach for like 3 communities at a time to move through those rotations. So if we're looking at and it doesn't have to happen that it's all 3 years either. So if we get the CWGG funds for Douglas City, Weaverville, and Junction City, that takes a few years to work on. So it's still working on the communities over a few years of time, but having one source of funding that's concentrated on doing multiple types of work. So doing roadside, doing defensible space, and looking at the fuel breaks, but having a target, or doesn't have to be one funding source, but having a target that we're going to wholesomely approach this one community, you know, in the next 3 years. And here's what we need to do. And so we're going to take the defensible space and the roadside and put it in fire prevention. And we're going to take the fuel break and put it in a forest health ask, but have it as they're all feeding together to make one bigger, more sustainable, resilient community.
Conceptually, I like the idea. The only concern, I guess, that I would echo of Pat's is that if we're on a 5-year cycle, that there's going to be a lot of communities that we won't even be addressing for 4 and 5 years, and that may seem like a long time given the fire interval.
Well, I think it would really only turn out to be every 2 to 3 years, because if you're applying and we're successful, so if you're applying every 5 years for a target community, but then the funds last for 2 to 3 years, then you would be working through those funds in that community 2 to 3 years. 2 years out from that, you're applying again. And so it's not necessarily that we hit a community 1 year and then leave. You know, if the projects all work out that way and the fire season and everything works out that way, there's potential for that. But I don't think that would be the norm. I think the norm would still be seeing crews dispersed into different communities to use the funds over a 2 to 3 year time period.
Amelia, I'd suggest you reach out to Larry Winters and IPUM for this part of the conversation.
Because as it is right now, we have communities that don't have any work being done, and that's why we're having issues with the Firewise renewals, right? So,
Gotcha.
Good morning. Does the planning effort count for Firewise renewals? If you say, well, we're applying for grants and doing environmental compliance, does that count? Can you count that for the Firewise renewals?
it could be part of administration for a Firewise community. And we do that with the CWPP part of it. Randy?
Sorry, it took me a second to unmute. Good morning. Sorry, I joined late, but I was thinking in terms of the strategy kind of grew out of some of the feedback that we had gotten from both the Forest Service and CAL FIRE with past Joint Chiefs and prevention grants that we submitted recently. And so the idea is if you can kind of keep the funding in the pipeline, hopefully the work won't seem any less on the ground, you know. It might be strategically crafted in a proposal, but both the Watershed Center and the RCD are working on previous CAL FIRE grants, and of course the collaboration work with the Forest Service. So that's ongoing. And then this pipeline of trying to make our proposals have kind of a strategic component, you know, hopefully it won't actually feel all that different on the ground. And I think there's some natural community groupings, like what was done with Junction City, Weaverville, and Douglas City, you know, like the North Lake communities. It seems like you can tell a story about that. The downriver communities, the South County communities, Ruth, Mad River, Van Dusen. There are kind of natural pairings or groupings of the communities, I think, that make sense on a landscape scale. So I just wanted to offer that up to the discussion and sort of what I've been chewing on in the hopes that that's helpful to the group. We certainly want to get as much work done as we can. And just having, you know, two pretty good size proposals not funded, you know, makes you consider, and you get the same feedback, it makes you consider, like, you know, maybe it's a time to change our story a little bit. So anyway, thank you for the opportunity to offer those thoughts. I am recovering from COVID, so I'm sorry if I'm a little bit rambly this morning.
That's boosted and she has COVID.
Okay. Thank you, Randy.
Her office when she went across the street. No.
So what I'm hearing for our action items is, one, to look at the subgroups. So maybe look at doing a planning level breakout meeting for each of the regions of the Community Wildfire Protection Plan to look at some of the planning and address some of the topics of what projects are existing and where the projects are going. So then it's more relevant to who's doing the projects and where the projects are happening. And so that would be 5 meetings where we can spread them out throughout the county, have the RCD, the Watershed Center, Forest Service, BLM, CAL FIRE invited to all of them, and then they determine which ones make sense for them to participate in or not, as well as SPI and all the other partners. And Corral Creek will make sure that they're included as well. So I think that's where I'm at on those ones. And we'll just address it when we really get into writing the grants this winter. no other additional comments or questions.
So did you already cover everything in grants, or do you want to talk more about grants?
I think
Oh, yeah, the
The
MOU. Anything on the MOU, Amelia?
Nope, I haven't had time to move forward with the MOU, but based off of the feedback from last meeting, I've got an idea of where I need to go. I hope to have a draft out to everyone for review next week, and then we'll leave it open for a month for comment, and then we'll bring it to the January meeting for acceptance and then moving forward. So that's where I'm looking. Understanding the Forest Service is going to take a while to sign it, but we'll get all of our other partners to sign it while they're sorting it out. Still looking for data from partners for the annual reports for the Community Wildfire Protection Plan. So any work that was completed, we need shape files from 2020, 2021, and 2022. So if you haven't done that yet for what work you've completed within those years, please get them over to us. Again, we're trying to produce a document that states what % of our Community Wildfire Protection Plan projects have been completed. And thank you to the Forest Service for getting theirs over. That's been great. Oh, on another note, Hawkins Bar, we had fire management from the Watershed Center come out to that meeting. Gave a very moving presentation about prescribed burn associations, and the community really appreciated it. And so I'm hoping that as time moves on, that we can have them be more present in some of our Firewise community meetings. And so hopefully, as we apply for grants this winter, also look at funds to give them time to come out and do some educational work at our community with our community at large. So that was a really good, very well received presentation that Miller Bailey gave. So just wanted to share that report out. And then just for those of you that joined late, to summarize all of the Firewise community renewals, but 2 have been completed. Still waiting to get, I need more information for the Big Bar, Big Flat area and the Post Mountain. So if you have any projects that were completed or worked on within the last 12 months in those areas, please let me know. I appreciate it. They're due tomorrow, so trying to get this done. All right. That's all I have for that. I do have one thing for the Fire Safe Coordinator update. So are we good to, does anybody have any questions before I move on? Okay, hearing none. So we did complete 2 wildfire assessment program trainings since the last time we met. So we have about 12 people now certified in that program. So I'm going to be updating the contracts for the Big Red Truck and getting those out. The new assessment program does take a little bit longer, but it's more thorough. The last assessment really addressed defensible space and fire vehicle access. And now we're addressing personal emergency preparedness for the homeowner, looking at the defensible space, engine access, as well as home hardening. So they're longer, so we're going to allocate more funds per assessment moving forward. But very excited. We're beginning to start completing those assessments. We're going to do the big push for outreach for those in January to start getting those scheduled. But Downriver already has 10 individuals signed up to do their assessments. So we're getting those tackled right now. The one thing that I did want to share with everyone, and I'm trying to find it, but our calendar. So as you know, we've some of you may know, we've been developing the Trinity County Fire Safe Council 2023 calendar. And so it is ready. It's been sent to the printer. They're working on just final design tweaks for the printing, but I want to show you guys a sneak peek of what it's going to look like. So the first run, we're going to print 2,500. We're going to use them as an incentive for our events and also an incentive to participate in our home assessment program. And so let me share my screen here. So we were lucky enough to work with Gay Berrien and have some pictures from Ivan, some comics drawn up for us. And so I'm going to show you guys each month. So this is a cover, and then it gets into January. And so we have the Forest Service and CAL FIRE collaboratively doing pile burning, and Ivan's getting into their lunches. So January was planning for a fire safe year. So we have suggestions such as sign up for Code Red, get your 2023 burn permit, check your burn day status, get your evacuation kits and that kind of stuff prepped for the year. Then into February, the goats are working on some Firewise landscaping there. And so then moving into suggestions for enrolling in CFIP, which the CFIP deadline, the first CFIP deadline is March 1st. So encouraging some of those programs, as well as looking at the fire management partnership, doing some general landscape fuel reduction. Moving into March, we have our home hardening. So Ivan's up working on wrapping a cabin. And then we have suggestions for home hardening for the month. And then of course, where they can go to find more information as well. April is Defensible Space Month. So they just worked on the defensible space in front of the barn. And then it gives suggestions for actions for defensible space that month. May, we have Wildfire Awareness Month. So they're getting ready for the summer. So it starts our campfire safety campaign, but really just gets into all the different activities that can be done to help improve fire resiliency and home hardening and defensible space. We also encourage people in April to start turning in their community chipping sign-up sheets so that they're ready for community chipping in May. June, Ivan's getting ready to get evacuated, so it's really emergency preparedness. We hit on packing go bags, knowing their zone, knowing their escape route, getting all of that planned and prepped, and multiple escape routes, not just one. Then 4th of July, Ivan's over there with Smokey. They're in the parade. They've got the Weaverville old engine in there. They've got Forest Service and CAL FIRE engine. And of course, it's in front of Tammy's bookstore. So then just all kinds of fireworks safety in there, campfire safety, standard fuel reduction, discusses the Blue Dot program, and talks about the wildfire outlooks. Then into August, in our wildfire season, Ivan's chilling in one of the porta tanks out in Hawkins Bar. And so then we just have more about where to find information about the fires that are going on, a little bit of definitions for what an evacuation warning versus an order versus shelter in place mean. We did find out from some of our community meetings that shelter in place really threw some people. They didn't know what that meant. So we're trying to have a bit of a better campaign this year for what the different levels mean. Then into September, Smoky September, we've got Bigfoot chilling with Ivan and talking about where to find out about wildfire smoke and advisories, red flag warnings, more information on where to find information on the fires, where to look for if roads are open. Then into October, we get into post-fire recovery and assistance. And so looking at and promoting the different resources for after fire recovery and watch out situations such as burnout stumps and that kind of stuff when people are going back to their homes and evaluating what needs to be done. And then into November, we get into our Firewise education and training. So we're promoting different resources for landowners to go and look at some of the basic wildland fire trainings or get involved as a local area advisor or a neighborhood ambassador, or, you know, work on getting their community chipping ready because October, November is community chipping again. And then getting into December, back to pile burning. And I've been stepping on the hose. There's no water coming out the end. Then we have, you know, more fire ecology and a prescribed fire and cultural fire education opportunities recommended in December. And then in the back, we have our partners and the fire safe councils and volunteer fire departments that all work collaboratively, a nice little bio of Gay, a little summary of the months, and then the mission statement for the fire safe council and how to contact us.
That's great. Yeah.
All right. So these will hopefully be ready January 1st. And definitely let me know. We'll make sure to share some of these around, but then we'll be making sure to distribute them to landowners that participate in the Big Red Truck program, ones that are currently participating, and then also the ones that start to participate next year. So that'll be a fun incentive to get people their assessments.
Hey, Amelia, can I get some for the Trinity Center School? I think actually, you know, if the fire department took these to the school and gave them to the kids and walked the kids through this, you know, and then told them take them home, that would be like, those kids would love it and they'd suck the parents in.
Yeah.
Amelia and all, I really think this calendar is awesome. And I wish something like that was available over here.
Well, we're happy to share our template with Sybil if she wants to take Sybil, if they want to take a stab at it.
Well, if you want to share one through the mail, I'll take it to a fire safe council meeting and brag on you guys.
They may not know who Ivan is over there. Trinity County definitely knows, but I'm not sure about Humboldt County.
Well, they might have their own
Yeah, man.
mascot.
They may need Reddy the raccoon.
Yeah, we'll see.
So Amelia, so if I like Carol's idea of the school, and talk to Sarah Supahan or someone at Office of Ed. They actually have a way to distribute materials through the Office of Ed to all the local schools.
That would be fun. I have to see if I could afford that.
Right.
Printing is going to be about 2,500. So if we send them out to every kid in the school, that would completely wipe us out. So we'll see what we can.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think it's like one per family, you know, you don't need one per kid. So I don't know how many, you know, like for Trinity Center School, there's 13 kids, but there's only 6 families. So anyway.
Amelia, this is Deborah. Before, when you go to reprint next year, would you kind of give me a heads up? Because if we have grant funds, this would be a very good project to contribute to from the district with our burn grant funds. And so maybe that will help get the numbers up a little bit if we can provide some funding.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. That's awesome.
All right, that's all I have unless anybody has questions for me.
And did that cover your fire safe council coordinator update stuff? Okay,
Correct.
thank you. Okay, we'll move on to project updates. Again, I have no idea who's here or not here, but is there any BLM?
I'm seeing your BLM.
Cal Fire just walked out the door. I don't know if you've seen him online. Trans.
No.
High and Pond Fire Safe Council, I see that.
I think so.
Lower Trinity PBA.
Regina?
Oh, well, I missed, or Dina, probably because I missed the meeting yesterday.
This is Dina. We have been exploring the notion of biochar and how we could make that part of our fuels reduction and also reducing green waste and making it a more positive thing, something that gives back to the community. So that's something that we're very interested in, and we've started talking to people and other organizations and agencies about, and so that's something that's really exciting. The other thing that we've been looking at is not having last year when the fire, the smoke was so bad, the air quality was just horrible. And rather than looking to Humboldt or Trinity County for direct response, what we're exploring is not having a plan, but a response plan in our community so that we know what resources are available to us locally so that we can put them into play quickly. Last year, it took 26 days to get the first air filters that were big enough to manage larger spaces. And Trinity County Public Health sent them down to us, and it was a huge relief. And we don't want to function that slowly in the future. And so we're trying to be proactive in the areas that we think that we may confront again. Of course, it'll be something different next year. So we're exploring possibilities of things that we can do in our community to help ourselves more. We're pretty excited about the CWDG proposal. We'll hear about it in December. It was a great effort, not just by the PBA, but by Trinity County RCD, Humboldt County RCD, the Fire Safe Council, the Watershed Center, and it will take a huge piece of our recovery off of our backs. And the one thing that's not directly related to the PBA, but is directly related to our community is I laughingly told somebody this morning that Amelia set loose a host of beavers in our community this week. They are everywhere. They are just everywhere cleaning up things. And like a person came and did some limbing for us at our house on Monday. They were at our door at 8 o'clock this morning doing the chipping, and they are really doing a great job. And I told them when they come back that I'll make them a enchilada dinner so that they don't have to go out to dinner one night while they're here working, because my understanding is they'll be back a couple more times.
Yeah, and that's really all to Chris's crews. And we have PG&E and then the storm cleanup funds that we're able to use out there right now. And so they're getting at it while they can. Yep.
Hey, Dina, so I was on the University of California's Woody Biomass Task Force many years ago, but we looked at biochar. And so biochar, the kind that actually benefits soil improvement, it's like a charcoal burning process where you have to burn the wood and then cover it, and because you want to have these big molecular spaces where nutrients can get in and all that kind of stuff. And so intense burning, like an air curtain burner or something like that, doesn't generate true biochar. You know, the university staff calls that snake oil salesman type of thing. The intense burning ash that's marketed as biochar, it's not really biochar. It's just burnt carbon. And so just be real careful there. You really, you know, the PBA and the Fire Safe Council, they just really want to do their homework and be careful there that they're not getting sucked into something that's really not marketable.
What has been happening is people, since we raised the subject, people have been sending us information from everywhere. And we attended the Humboldt County RCD meeting a few days ago. And one of the things that was talked about in that meeting is actually not using a kiln approach, but to actually create the biochar in your pile burning by using a carefully controlled burn and knowing when to put the fire out. And so we're pretty excited about it, and there's a lot to learn, and we realize we don't know much, but thank you for that information, because one of the things that has been brought up is the curtain burns can do the biochar, but maybe not, is what you're saying.
Moving on, NRCS, I don't think anybody's here, no. Deborah from North Coast Unified Air Quality Management District.
Okay. Good morning, folks. Well, lots of stuff going on over here, lots of burning. There's a project over in the Weaverville Basin. So I'd appreciate any eyes. If you see any smoke, let me know. We've gotten another air curtain incinerator in the works from CAL FIRE. They're going to move one of the units over to Willow Creek again and do some more cleanup from the blowdown in December. And we've met with CAL FIRE on that. I am not aware that air curtain incinerators are used for biochar. Pretty much biochar, from what I've seen in training videos and presentations, is they light the fire from the top down and then they quench it. And so you've got a lot of the debris left to use as soil amendments or other things. An air curtain incinerator, the whole point of that is to get complete combustion and burn the material as oh geez, the word just flew out of my brain. So as completely as possible, so you have little emissions to impact the area. The air curtain incinerator from CAL FIRE that's coming back over to work in the Willow Creek area will be at the same location as last time. CAL FIRE is looking to purchase and put in place another air curtain incinerator. We're hopeful that they'll be able to keep these in the area to be used at future need arises. From what I understand, there's going to be a lot of need for a lot of years over there in the Willow Creek and Western Trinity area. I've also kind of heard that CAL FIRE is going to a burn permit system. So our two CAL FIRE agencies, Shasta Trinity and Humboldt Del Norte, will require folks to get a CAL FIRE permit online using their portal, but we'll also require our permit. There's not going to be any charge for the CAL FIRE permit, but our permit conditions will still remain the same. So we'll, as that gets closer to rolling out, we'll do more public information and get the word out that the standard permit is will be no longer used in place of the CAL FIRE dooryard permit. That hasn't taken effect yet, but that's the long range plan. Lots of burning going on. And that's pretty much it for me, unless anybody has any questions.
I don't think so.
Safe.
Larry just departed, so he's not.
SPI, Keith.
Yeah, just the only update I'd give is that working with the RCD is and some of the grant monies that are out there, with the RCD doing a lot of the paperwork side and the proposal side, allows us to do more in between projects. So if, for example, there's a road network that's going to have some fuel reduction project proposed on it, which might be a high priority for us, that doesn't mean we don't do more. So we'll just take the monies that we have and then allocate them to additional projects to expand upon that. So, and I also think that some of the projects that have been identified are tapping into and tying into the existing fuels work that we've been doing. So expanding upon that with the grant money, I think is going to be helpful thing. So I appreciate the help, Chris and Bethany and the RCD. That's it.
Thanks, Keith. Southern Trinity, that's usually Larry, right?
Southern Trinity Parsec. Nah, I don't think we have anybody from that.
Tama Glen Parsec, I don't think I've really
No.
said Trinity Center VFD. She's out of her too. I'll swing back around when I see her. Trinity County Board of Supervisors down.
How about OES?
Go ahead.
Since Philip's here.
Yeah, we'll do that. So Trinity County OES.
Mike, do you have anything you want to chime in on?
Nothing specific, if you just want to give them an update on some of the major grant stuff that you've been working on.
Sure. So fiscal year 22 Homeland Security grant, just finishing up the final touches on the workbook on that, and that should start coming around the beginning of next year. One of the items on there is to purchase some more of our alert sirens that we've already have 4. We're just now starting to get areas looked at. I did go to Burnt Ranch School last week and found a good location for that. I'm waiting for some information back from James King on that to make sure that that location will work for them. And then we'll look at getting Trinity PUD to help us with the pole and placement on that. There is a little bit of a question on environmental and historical preservation approval, but I'm hoping that with Cal OES that they will allow us to put these, since these are going to be on 40-foot poles and not attached to any building, that we won't have to deal with any of that extra red tape. Also moving forward with the Frontier grant, which is putting 21 ham radios throughout the county and 2 repeaters, 1 repeater up on Ironside and 1 up on Pickett Peak. Working with the local amateur radio club to try and get those set up and placed. And I did find a really good online program for getting people their technician ham radio license. I did reach out to the company, and if we were to do a bulk purchase on that, we would get that at a really good rate. They state that there's probably only about 10 hours of study time to get prepared to take the exam. We do have people in Weaverville that can give the exam. So Just kind of still working on that and trying to figure out how we're going to vet people that want to get their license, how Trinity OES can reimburse the cost of that. Most likely, once they pass their exam, we'll figure out how to reimburse that, so we're not paying for people and then they're not taking their tests. So other than that, that's about all I got.
Hey, this is Jerry. I have a question for the OAS folks, and I think it's the right place. What's happening with the Trinity County mitigation plan? Is that being formalized? Is it being approved? Do you know about that?
It hasn't. Plan.
Yeah, this is Mike. Yeah, so what we've been doing is going back and forth with Cal OES. They had provided us some feedback on the kind of current update of the plan, and they had quite a bit of feedback. And so we've been working on that and trying to work on that a little bit each week. But I have a meeting scheduled with Cal OES to find out exactly what the Cal OES and FEMA requirements are to do. My understanding is it used to be able to do like a provisional approval when you're in the process of updating. It seems like that has changed, but this meeting will be to find out exactly what we do have to do to get a more of an abbreviated update so that we're in good status with our plan pending the longer update. So
Good. It's never good when you hear they had quite a lot of feedback.
yeah, well, and it's not bad stuff. It's really there's a lot
Detail
of
stuff.
tables. Well, it's a lot of tables and figures in there that need to be updated. And so the question becomes, okay, which of those do we have to have updated? And it can all be done. It's really just a matter of time. And it's a time-consuming process.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
All right, Trinity County Collaborative.
We have a meeting tomorrow. 10 o'clock to 1:30. Hybrid meeting, Zoom link if you want to join by Zoom. Meeting live in the conference room at the Trinity River Restoration Program because it's a bigger venue and kind of the main attraction, the main agenda item is a presentation and discussion led by Eric Knapp from the Forest Service. Amelia or Kelly can probably talk better to the focus of that presentation.
Yeah, so Eric Knapp presented at Science on Tap earlier this year. For those of you that saw his presentation there, he's giving the same presentation, but in an abbreviated version. His presentation addresses how the Forest Service and other partners have been studying fuel reduction treatments and the effects on wildfire returning into those areas, whether it be pre-harvest treatment or thin mastication, prescribed fire, pile burning before a wildfire. And so he has data from some of the Northern California fires over the last few years throughout their treatment areas. And so he'll be presenting some of his findings and outcomes from that work. So it's very applicable to Northern California, and he's got some really good information to share with us. So if you're free, come on over tomorrow, join the Zoom 10 a.m. You all should have received the email through Constant Contact with that. Check your spam if you're not getting those. And if for some reason you didn't get the invite and you are interested in attending tomorrow, shoot me an email and I will get you the information.
Tim Ritchie.
Hey, Amelia, Tim, have you been able to share I sent you the link for his virtual variable density thinning presentation that he did. Have you been able to send that out to the Fire Safe Council group?
I believe so. I think we sent it out a while back. I can bring it back up.
I mean, if you have that, could you send that to me and I'll get it out to the collaborative group as well?
Yeah.
it's a good pretext to just some of the discussions about harvest and fuels reduction activities, not really associated with fire impacting them, but just the treatments on the landscape, the way it looks at the end, stand densities, some of that stuff. So that would, if you have time to watch it before his presentation tomorrow, it may bring some stuff to your mind, though it does take a while to load because it's essentially Google Earth camera or Google cameras, and you can scroll around and look at the whole thing as he narrates it.
That's great. Thanks, Tim.
The link is in the chat right now for anybody who wants to see it, and then I will send out a follow-up email with a reminder for the event tomorrow and include this in that with the description. Thank you, Tim.
I don't see anybody from planning, right?
No.
The Trinity County RCD.
Chris, you want to start?
Yeah, I can start us off. So we've got, I think we have 17 crew members currently. So four crews rolling around throughout the county. They're currently working on PG&E funding and CAL FIRE funding. That's through Humboldt County in the kind of the downriver area, the Salyer, Hawkins Bar, South Fork Road, that vicinity, and they're going to be out there for the next week. Next week is going to be a short week because of the holiday. We have crews working out in Ruth, doing more road clearing. They've been out there since our last meeting, so doing the same stuff as the last meeting. They've also been super active in the Guy Covington area, and that project was funded from the Forest Service as well as some matching funding with CAL FIRE. They're just about finished there, but we needed to pull them off to do some of this downriver work that's pretty time sensitive. And then they've also been working on, they've started a unit of BLM land that's just off a Little Browns Creek road that's under our Forest Health grant. And that's to provide them some area that we'll keep a crew on probably through the winter after just a brief layoff, depending on weather. And they'll keep chipping away at the different projects as they can. And then an update for just our Sierra Nevada Conservancy grants. Those we should hear about if we are awarded or not sometime mid to late December. So next meeting, hopefully we'll have good news about those. And then as Kelly mentioned earlier, we've all but solidified the contract and we were awarded the McConnell grant. So we'll be managing that project, and our crews, people weren't here last time, won't be actively doing the implementation, but we'll be managing the grant, writing prescriptions, coming up with the project design, and doing the environmental compliance. So I think that's all I have. I guess we also have, or maybe I'll let Bethany update on some of our contract work that is also ongoing.
Yeah, we also have a contract crew right now. This is under our Forest Health grant, working on a unit in the Reading Indian Creek area, right at the intersection of Highway 3 and Reading Creek Road, doing the same kind of manual fuels reduction work our crews do. And after that, they'll be moving to another unit that's down off Indian Creek Road, a little further out there in the valley.
Bethany, have they started Lake Forest?
No, we didn't stick them up there last week because of the snow conditions. So we'll see how it is after we get this dry up, but we'll see, yeah, with those roads, how that works.
I don't have anything to add unless Amelia's got something.
Nobody from PUD. I don't know if I'll ever know how to pronounce that next one. Sonungway. Nobody here.
Nope.
UC Co-op.
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so.
Well, Dina's here from the Sunong Way.
Okay. Oh, right. I wasn't sure. if Dina
I was trying to unmute, I'm sorry. I wanted to let you know that the repeater that has been long been a concern for Ranch School was installed by Velocity and is working. And then what happened after that is the Velocity came in and added more equipment. And so now there's internet service provided through them from Burnt Ranch to the Salyer area. And they're also, Travis Finch is also talking about the possibility of adding a cellular component, so that, because in this area, there is no cell service, essentially. And so he's exploring the possibility of adding a cell device to the tower. And he said it would be relatively easy, but there's a lot of snow up on our side right now, so I think it'll be a while. But that's one thing that is a very positive development that has been in the works, that we were talking about it. There was an article in the newspaper last week in the Journal, and it took many, many years to finally figure out how that could happen. The other thing that I wanted to applaud the RCD, particularly Amelia, regarding is the ambassador program. Regina Moon and Sarah Sapahan and I are ambassadors in this area. And what happened is during this fuels reduction project, Gina and I took South Fork Road and we split it up, and we've noticed 25 different property owners that this possibility is there, and people are signing up and completing the interest forms and or completing the entry forms. And I've also been able to do the same for the street I live on in Trinity Village, called Coon Creek Road. And there are 17 homes on this one small road, are lots. There are some lots too, but all 10 of the permanent residents have been informed that there's an opportunity here, and that they can get help with fuels reduction. And the crews have just really been wonderful. And I think the ambassador program is really a very bright idea, because you're including us local people in this process, and people that normally would not sign up because they know us are saying, okay, I'll try it. And I think that it's so far a very positive thing in our community, and I hope it expands for Trinity County. That's it.
Thank you. Then you see co-op Shasta Trinity Forest Service.
All right, good morning, everybody. Sorry I missed the start of the meeting. So update on projects, the Carville project, we've completed the chipping out there. So all that, the 11 or so acres was completed on Wednesday. We're planning with the disaster funding, supplemental funding that we have. We're working on the contracts for multiple areas throughout the forest between the McFarland, August, Monument, and River Complex fires. And so probably a couple thousand acres of work will be planned out of that this first year, with more in the near future. The big thing that we're still kind of waiting on is the Region 5 hazard tree NEPA to be signed, which will allow us to treat a lot of those high use roadsides in the fire footprints. There's still a process as that goes where we have to do botanical and arc surveys before we do any implementation, but it would help us speed that process up for implementing those fuels projects. As was stated by Deb, we did start our prescribed fire activities. Our burn plan got signed yesterday, so we are going to be engaged with burning to the extent possible. Of course, it happens right before the holiday when folks go off on annual leave, but I just spoke with the burn boss a couple minutes ago. They got about 12 of the 20 acres planned today already ignited. Things are going well, burning down great. If you look at the alertca.live, the old wildfire alert cameras, you can see the smoke up there. It's dispersing very nicely on that project. That's what I have for you guys today. If there's any questions, let me know.
Tim, I got a question not related to what you were talking about, but you guys have a CE for brushing along roadways, right?
It depends on what level you're looking at. So routine maintenance, we
Routine
can
maintenance.
go like 4 or 5 feet. Yeah.
And do you know when it expires? Six Rivers expires the end of December.
I think we got some life on that still.
Okay. Thanks.
Is there a road in particular you're asking about?
Yeah. It's a proposal the Willow Creek Fire Safe Council has. And we're gonna go look at it this afternoon, some of us, so just kind of trying to get all of our ducks in a row. They have a rack proposal.
Okay, so we do,
Kind of
there are
Hennessy
some
Ridge,
roads-
Hennessy Road.
Okay. There are certain roads that we did NEPA for a few years, well, it's more than a few years now, where we extended out to 50 feet. So if you, I'll dig up the road number there and try to get back to you as quick as I can if it's covered under that NEPA.
Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Tim. I don't see anybody from Six Rivers.
I have no Nancy turns on.
Oh, she is. Nancy?
Let's see, this morning I was already out at Kenton Pond tying in with RCD chipping crew. We finally are knocking out roads identified in the Community Wildfire Protection Plan. That'll be a CWPP project. We have to report accomplishments on. These are roads identified by the Kenton Pond Xenia VFD. After they finish that, we're going to move on to roads identified by Southern Trinity VFD for road chipping. So hopefully we'll have most of that knocked out before end of this year. As far as air curtain burning, we've moved the air curtain to a new road system. Probably won't fire it up till next week. And so that's been a continuing operation since, I don't know, April, May. And speaking of biochar, if anybody's interested, this is what I've read. We've got about, I don't know, I'm just guessing 15 yards of what I would call unrefined biochar, the material that we removed from the air curtain burner. When I looked this up under the air curtain burner LLC out of Florida, they do say we create biochar, but it still needs refining. And that involves some more additional work. We have local people that are interested in grabbing it just to play around with it, but you need to refine it. It needs to be screened. And I don't know a lot. We're trying to find somebody that we're hoping to get a position on Florist about these kind of biomass utilization projects, and maybe we'll learn more about biochar. Other projects, we too got disaster funding. Our priorities will be projects identified under the August Restoration EA. A lot of the disaster funding will go under BPA stewardship agreements to accomplish a lot of fuel reduction. There's a lot of timber that will not sell of commercial size. All that's proposed for falling, probably machine piling, the farther ends, that you can't pay to get it out. It's gonna have to be piled and burned. We'll also have, some of that disaster funding, obligated agreements. Also our BPA vendors, are all, we got quite a few local, heavy equipment operators that were awarded BPA agreements. And those are called blanket purchase agreement for those that aren't sure that lingo. So that's good news. Hopefully more locals going to work cleaning up our burnt woods. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah, today driving along the road, it's the first time I've seen on this side of the mountain, our county road crew with a mower. They were mowing roads along the county road and Ruth and the backside of the lake. We've never seen such a beast here before. I asked him, it's only on loan for a few weeks, it sounds like, but it was good work. It was good to see a mower over on this side of the mountain. I don't know if anybody from Trinity County Roads is on, but if we could get one of those over here, that would be great. Let's see, what else we got going? Oh, our raft project that we were awarded $50,000 last year under the Three Forks Salvage Project. The Watershed Center is doing the sub-commercial loft and scat in proposed timber harvest units. They probably got another week to 2 weeks before they wrap that project up, and all the RAP funds will be spent on that. And that's about what I got for this week's report out.
Yeah. Thank you, Nancy. Watershed Research Training Center.
Yes, good morning again. So the fall for the Watershed Center tends to be a time where we work a lot on Forest Service projects. So I think you heard from Nancy that we've been busy down there on the 6 rivers and working in cooperation with them on that air curtain burner project, and a great contractor out of Ruth for that project. So it's exciting to see it happening. We've also been working in plantations, mostly west of Hayfork. The Forest Service has contracts that were funded by the Forest Health proposal that the Watershed Center and the forests work together on, doing plantation thinning work. And then the Watershed Center crews are also working on plantation thinning and also some mastication in some of the units where we're kind of breaking up some of that fuel continuity in addition to managing the stocking of the trees. So that's exciting work that's happening. Of course, we're starting to run into problems with the weather, so that's the nature of it this time of year. We've also been trying to take advantage of the burn windows to burn around Hayfork and Weaverville. So far, we quite haven't had the right things line up for the Weaverville burning. It's on the north side of town. So we've had some north winds that have made it a challenge to get the air quality control board process finalized. And then the rain have kind of made some of the fuels a challenge to burn. So they're not really, we're waiting for some more drying before we can get there. So hopefully the winds and the fuel moisture will line up so that we can get some burning done north of Weaverville. I'm sure there's other things, but I think those are the big ticket items. Of course, we're also waiting to hear on our 2 community wildfire defense grant proposals. Dina mentioned the one downriver. Hopefully we'll hear about High and Palm, downriver, or that greater Willow Creek area is really how the grant characterized it. And then the Junction City, Weaverville, Douglas City proposal. And the nice thing about these 3 proposals that were put together, I think they'll really show us what that program is interested in funding. The High and Palm one, we specifically structured it so it would just be the one community. And then the Weaverville, Junction City, Douglas City proposal kind of shows that multi-community approach. And again, that grant program was structured just for treatments on private lands. So it should be interesting. Hopefully by our January meeting, we'll have information on how those grant proposals went. And similarly to the conversation that we started, the meeting with, of course, those CAL FIRE opportunities are coming open, and we're trying to figure out, with the partners, what would be the best approach to take. And yeah, so thank you so much for the opportunity to give you an update. I'm sure my presentation's a little bit affected by the fact that I'm still sick, so sorry about that. If anybody has questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you. Nothing to report from Weaverville Fire. Was there a Willow Creek Fire Safe Council personnel there?
Willow Creek Fire Safe Council?
Yes. Hello, that would be me. Good morning, everyone. I have a lot to report. I wrote stuff down. I hope I don't miss anything, but we have been busy. We've met a few deadlines. There's always filing to be done, fundraising. We pulled off the spaghetti dinner for $700. The Adopt a Highway group earned that $250 that CAL FIRE's offering up. If you want to get into their clean, whatever they're calling it, but Caltrans is not CAL FIRE. Caltrans has been very busy with different things I'm seeing, like white metal. But the Adopt a Highway is one of our fundraisers that the Willow Creek Fire Safe Council does. So meeting all them deadlines, we did meet our Firewise certification, got that submitted. Waiting on that. We had members attend the Humboldt County Fire Safe Council for their 20th anniversary this last week, which was pretty exciting. We've had the community meeting I attended that was in Willow Creek. There was a few choice representatives there. Thank you for everyone that showed up, and it's always inspiring to hear what others are doing. And so we did learn that the air curtain burner is coming to us. It's already in place down there at the near the Big Rock River access on Mercer Fraser. I think the logistics will be CAL FIRE's providing the equipment to lift, and so there's a rumor, and so we're telling people, but I think it's a PSA is officially coming out, and we have it through the end of December. So that's just an alternate way that we have as an option. People are burning, which is good on private lands. We're just in the education mode about different things, of course, what's available, trying to share the interest forms for both counties. And that's the crazy part for me, because I've got 2 counties, 2 national forests, and 2 division of highways that our Fire Safe Council jurisdiction is within. So that keeps us pretty busy. Let's see. That home assessment training, we had a Dwight Stringfellow attend that. We're looking forward to having him come down around just additional things that our community can tap into and get involved with. Today we have that RAD grant little field trip, which I'm excited was submitted. I thank everyone for their support, recognizing that this is a good project and helping me out, because I was one of a few that kind of stepped into this, which is good. And I was going to tell you about the crews that are down here. They're pulling in my yard right now, so my dog's going to go ballistic, but they've already been here as of 0800 this morning. I've taken some photos, and they're back, but the tree that was on the backside of my shop has been removed and cleaned up. And there's some other pine trees that I did not want. And so they're here right now and they've been in our neighborhood. So thank you. And all those other grants that are available, you know, keep them coming. That's apparently, if that's where the money is coming from, that's what we need to be trying to work with. Yes. So anyway, there's a lot going on. I think I've covered everything. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer, or and I'll see the field trip, the RAC group here at 1:30 at the bottom of South Fork. We're still on. That's going to be exciting. That's just a little bit of efforts throughout this, you know, South Fork, Salyer area that's going to complement all the other efforts. And I appreciate everyone. Thank you.
Okay.
Yep. TCRD is out there in my yard right now.
I have one other thing.
Sure, go ahead.
From the RCD side, I've got one other thing. Thanks, Regina. I
You're
appreciate
welcome. Thank you.
the kudos. That's great. On the RCD side, one other thing that's kind of percolating right now is we're in currently actively in discussions with the State Lands Commission about a 160-acre parcel on the west side of the Weaverville Valley. And they are moving forward with a memorandum of understanding that would allow us to do fuels reduction work in there, small potential for some harvest. We're going to be meeting with one of their State Lands Commission foresters on the 29th of this month to take a look at the property with them. Chris and myself and Bethany and David Harmio from Cal Fire were out there last week having a look at just sort of field conditions and things of that nature. That piece of property has not been managed or maintained in any way ever that we're aware of, or at least for a very, very long time. And it's in the kind of Shasta Springs Wagon Road kind of area on the east portion of town, just uphill from sort of the main developments, Ransom Road and that kind of area. And so we feel like there's a lot of opportunity to do some really good work in that piece of property. So we'll be keeping everybody posted as things move forward with that MOU. But it's in the works, so we're pretty excited about that because it sort of begins to help to close the gap on the Weaverville Community Forest on the east side of the basin. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hey, Todd, just a minute from the Trinity Center. So I apologize for ducking out earlier where the building inspector is showing up today for our new apparatus building, and it's kind of crazy. So anyway, I did want to thank the RCD. They came up and did some work under the Title III RAC grant. And and also thank SPI because they allowed us to do some thinning on the access road to one of the water company diversion boxes that we draft out of. And so, and some other lots in the Trinity Center itself. So the neighbors were extremely appreciative. So thanks for the RCD for and the RAC for providing that grant to do more work up here. That's all I have.
I think it was Title III.
I think I said Title III.
Yeah, it's not the RAC.
Correct.
Okay, thanks, everybody. If there's nothing further, we'll adjourn and meet again January 26th at 1 p.m.
Have a great Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yep. Happy holidays to everybody. Thank you all. Keep up the good work.